Hi everyone. So I want to talk a little bit more on a practical note about trust, right? So I find in certain areas of my life, now that I've really trained myself to think this way, and I'm not saying I always succeed, but when I'm really in the zone and I'm trusting, it can actually be really a fun, exciting avoda in most circumstances. I'll get to the times where it's hard to do it. So for example, my husband and I together, we do a lot of fundraising for my Chabad house. I'm the one who's in charge of paying the bills, right? And we don't always have money to pay the bills. Like sometimes the condo bill's accumulating and I've got vendors who are chasing me to get paid, and it can be stressful. But I have enough hindsight to see that Hashem always comes through, literally always comes through. And I never know exactly how it's gonna happen, but it always works out. So I've learned to sort of very nicely tell the vendors, as soon as I have the money, I will pay you. I'm so sorry. Things are a little tight right now. And I've learned to just remain calm and almost like excitedly await like how the bracha is gonna come, because it always does, literally always. Baruch Hashem. So it can be sort of fun, like an adventurous avoda of like, how's Hashem gonna do it this time? But then there are other times where trusting in Hashem is really hard, really hard. Like someone that you love and care about is going through something really difficult, and it doesn't look like it's gonna work out so easily, right? And that's where our Bitachon really gets challenged. And learning how to meditate on this, we were speaking about a few clips ago, where challenging situations come from a really high good, is key. Meditating on this concept that this situation that looks terrible is actually good is what causes it to turn around. And it's super hard to do it. And one of the things Rabbi explains is that because it's so hard to do it, that's what elicits the miracle, because it's so hard to say this is good when it really doesn't look good. It's such a hard avoda that it actually can cause it to turn around in and of itself, because you're doing such an intense avoda. And there's a story from the Gemara that really illustrates this idea very beautifully. It really explains it very well. So I want to share it so you can sort of take this story and apply it in your life. And please God, no one should have anything that's very difficult to apply this to. But if you need this, I hope it helps. So there's a story from Nachum Ish Gamzu. It's a very famous story. He was known for saying this is good, right? Not this will eventually be good, right? Amunah is like, one day we'll see how this terrible thing led to something good. No, this is good. He saw that this thing that might appear negative, it's from Hashem who's good, and only good descends from on high, and therefore this itself is good. So he was famous for saying that. So he was chosen to represent the Jewish people, to go to the emperor to bring him a gift so that he would make decrees that were more in favor of the Jewish people. So they equipped him with this whole big chest of precious gems and jewels and sent him on his way to the emperor. On the way there, he stops in an inn. The innkeeper was a greedy man. He saw this chest of jewels and swapped it out for sand. Nachum Ish Gamzu takes this chest full of what he thinks is jewels, but it's really sand, and presents it to the emperor. And the emperor opens it and he sees this chest full of sand, and he becomes extremely angry, and he sentences Nachum Ish Gamzu to be killed. But Nachum was so confident in Hashem's goodness, and he had such deep trust, that he just said, this is good. Lo and behold, Eliyahu, a Navi, disguises himself as one of the king's advisors, one of the emperor's advisors, and says to him, maybe this is the sand that actually Avraham Avinu, the first Jew, used to defeat the four kings in that war. So the emperor says, okay, let's try it out. He happened to be in the midst of a war at that time with another emperor, and his soldiers use the sand, and Hashem makes a huge miracle, and it turns into arrows, and he wins the war. So the Rebbe actually explains in a sicha, had Nachum Ish Gamzu taken a chest full of jewels to the emperor, it may not have had the intended effect, because he's an emperor, he's got plenty of jewels. But sand that can turn into miraculous arrows and help him defeat defeat his opponent in a war, that's something he never would have gotten without the Jewish people, and therefore he ended up reverting the decree on Nachum Ish Gamzu and gave him tremendous reward and favored the Jewish people. So it turned out better in the end than it ever would have. And this is the avoda of trust, to look at a situation that to our eyes might seem really scary and negative and say, it has to be good because Hashem is good. May we successfully do this to the Gullus itself, to the exile itself, and cause the Gula Shlema immediately.